Well, hey there, everyone. I'm meteorologist Hannah Fink, and today we're going to talk about Hurricane Ivan. Tomorrow, September 16th, is the official anniversary of the landfall date of Hurricane Ivan, which was a Category 4 storm. It made landfall during the early morning hours on that date, but September 15th, the Gulf Coast was experiencing great impacts from the outer bands of that storm during September 15th. So I have a presentation set up where we're going to talk about the advisories and break those down from 1 a.m. that day on September 15th to 10 p.m. that day, so right before landfall. So let's get right into it. So this is the day before Hurricane Ivan made landfall, which was September 15th of 2004. So the 1 a.m. advisory warnings were issued, hurricane warnings were issued from Grand Isle, Louisiana, all the way to Apalachicola, Florida. So that included New Orleans as well as Lake Pontchartrain. So this was located 265 miles southeast of the Mississippi River mouth. Movement was moving at the storm was moving northwest at 12 miles per hour, but it was expected to start turning north at some point during the day of September 15th. At this point, it is at 140 mile per hour winds with a Category 4 tag, and its central pressure was 934 millibars, and it's forecasted to make landfall as a major hurricane, which is a Category 3 or more. At this point, we're expecting surge to be 10 to 16 feet above normal tides, creating large waves, and rainfall of 10 to 15 inches, and then obviously dangerous rip current risks as well as surf. So the 4 a.m. advisory, this is when we were expecting a large and extremely dangerous hurricane to approach the area. Winds were already increasing, so that was a factor in at this time. Hurricane warnings are still the same. Now we have a hurricane watch from Morgan City, Louisiana, west of Grand Isle, and a tropical storm warning from Intracoastal City, Louisiana, all the way west of Grand Isle and Apalachicola, Florida, as well as Yankeetown, Florida. It is now located 220 miles southeast of the Mississippi River. It is moving northwest at 12 miles per hour, still likely to turn north, and landfall is now expected within the next 24-hour period. It is still at a Category 4 storm with 140 mile per hour winds, but its central pressure has gone up 4 millibars to 938. And the impact, storm surge is still the same with large battering waves at 10 to 16 feet. 10 to 15 inches of rainfall, could be locally heavier and higher, especially with flooding since below sea level in certain areas, and still expecting dangerous surf and rip currents, and now isolated tornadoes are possible. The key message of the 4 a.m. advisory is Ivan will make landfall as a major hurricane. Preparations must be rushed to completion because now we have 24 hours to prepare for the eye to officially make landfall. Now at 7 a.m., the hurricane watches, warnings, and tropical storm warnings are still the same. Those have not changed. Now the storm is located 180 miles southeast of the Mississippi River. It's still moving at northwest at 12 miles per hour. Now landfall is expected early Thursday morning, or in this case, September 16th. It is still a Category 4 storm, and its pressure has only gone up by 1 millibar. Wind impacts, high rises may experience Category 1 strength winds, and hurricane winds may spread 100 miles inland. Hazards are still the same. We could see more storm surge above 16 feet. Rainfall still the same, and still expecting dangerous surf and rip currents. Isolated tornadoes are possible later on during the day. The key message is Ivan will strike the northern Gulf Coast as a major hurricane, and we need to start finishing our final preparations. The 10 a.m. advisory warnings continue to stay the same. Location is now 235 miles south of Mobile, Alabama. Now the storm is moving north at 13 miles per hour. Landfall is still expected early on Thursday morning, and the intensity is now at 135 mile per hour winds. It's still a Category 4 storm, even though we have lost 5 miles off of that intensity with our wind speeds, and central pressure has stayed the same. And wind impacts, high rises could still see those strong wind speeds of a Category 1 storm, and hurricane winds can spread 100 miles inland. The hazards remaining the same for both storm surge, rainfall, the dangerous surf, and rip currents, especially along the Florida Gulf Coast. And we're still likely possibly going to see an isolated tornado or a few possible later on in the day, especially for South Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, and Southwest Georgia. Ivan still remains an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane, and we need to start finishing our preparations. And at this point, mandatory evacuations have been in place. The 1 p.m. advisory, it is now located 170 miles south of the Alabama coastline. It is moving north at 14 miles per hour. Landfall is still expected early on Thursday morning. Intensity, we're still at a Category 4 storm. And our impacts still remain the same, but now we're getting a little bit more specific. So inland impacts, hurricane winds may reach 100 miles per hour inland. Tornadoes are possible later that afternoon and evening, especially for South Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, as well as Southwest Georgia. And the key message is final preparations must be rushed to completion. Ivan still remains an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane. The 4 p.m. advisory, now this is when we need that the Gulf Coast needs to really start preparing. Bearing down on the northern Gulf Coast is what Ivan is now doing. Warnings are still the same, located 125 miles south of Alabama's coastline, moving north at 14 miles per hour. Still a Category 4 storm, but it has intensified just a little bit. As you can see, our pressure has gone down to 933 millibars, which this is the minimum pressure that this storm has made it to. Hazards, storm surge is still the same, rainfall is still the same. Could see some higher numbers, especially for local flooding areas. The winds are a Category 4 at landfall. High rises may see strong winds of a Category 1 storm. Inland, now we could see 150 miles per hour winds and more inland. Waves, buoys south of Dauphin Island are now reporting 50 feet seas. So now tornadoes are possible over the next 24-hour period for the same locations, and surface now becoming really rough, especially along the Florida Gulf Coast. Ivan is large and extremely dangerous and is still Category 4 storm. Landfall is now expected later tonight or as early as Thursday morning, and final preparations must be completed immediately. The 6 p.m. advisory has not changed that much with warnings. Those are still the same. Location is 105 miles south of Alabama's coastline. Still moving north at 14 miles per hour. Intensity is still at a Category 4 storm. And actually, we've dropped in pressure to 931 millibars. So we've actually gone down. 933 was not the minimum pressure. It was at that time. That was a new minimum pressure. Now we are at 931, which is the new minimum pressure at this time. The impacts still really stay the same. The eye alert just means do not go outside during the calm eye passage. Winds return suddenly. This is when we start needing to get that on people's radar. Reported winds over at Dauphin Island of 51 mile per hour sustained and gusts to 63 miles per hour. Waves offshore show that buoys are reporting 50 feet seas. And tornadoes are still possible across South Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, as well as Southwest Georgia. Some have already been reported by this time. Key message now is Ivan remains a large, extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane. Landfall is just hours away. Final preparations must be completed and remain sheltered through the eye. The 8 p.m. advisory. Ivan is now located 85 miles south of Alabama's coastline. It is now moving north at 12 miles per hour, so landfall is expected early Thursday morning. It's still a Category 4 storm, and its central pressure is still the same. Impacts now, tornadoes are ongoing in the Florida Panhandle, more possible in South Alabama, the Panhandle, as well as Southwest Georgia. Dauphin Island observed winds of 56 miles per hour and gusts of 78 miles per hour. Mobile gusts of 61 miles per hour. We are still warning people to stay sheltered when conditions become calm. That is the eye passing through. Winds return suddenly after the calm eye conditions. Inland conditions are still the same. Winds are still the same. Rainfall and storm surge are still the same. And the key message is Ivan remains an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane. Landfall is immediate at this point. Stay sheltered and do not leave during the eye. I'm sorry, landfall is imminent. That's what I meant. Excuse me. 10 p.m. advisory is now located 65 miles south of Alabama's coastline. It is moving north-northeast at this point at 12 miles per hour, and landfall is expected in the next few hours as early as Thursday morning. Still a Category 4 storm where pressure has gone up to 933 at this point, and hazards and impacts still stay the same, except for observed winds over at Dauphin Island, 54 mile per hour sustained winds, gusts of 83 miles per hour. Pensacola, 51 mile per hour sustained winds and gusts of 68 miles per hour. Tornadoes are still possible in South Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, and the Big Bend, as well as Southwest Georgia. And the key message is Ivan remains an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane. Landfall is just hours away. Stay sheltered and do not leave during the eye. So those are the last advisories that came out. The next one that came out was at midnight, which was September 16th. So that will be talked about tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. We will have the advisories come out for when Hurricane Ivan made landfall. Thank you so much for watching Next Weather. We'll see you next time.